Support for the Leadoff on WGLT and WGLT.org comes from the Central Illinois Regional Airport, where travelers are one stop away from world destinations. Connections on Delta Airlines to Atlanta are available daily. Close, convenient, CIRA. More at CIRA.com.
Sky-high electric bills are putting Central Illinois homeowners, renters, and businesses in a tough spot. It's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Thursday, August 7th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with new details about how sweeping and fluid changes to U.S. trade policy and reduced demand for regulatory credits are hurting Rivian's bottom line. WGLT student reporter Ben Howell has more.
One example is China restricting exports of rare earth minerals in response to U.S. policy changes. Technology companies like Rivian use lots of those materials. Here's Rivian founder and CEO RJ Scaringe on CNBC.
And that had a very significant impact on overall production volume.
Indeed, Rivian produced just 6,000 vehicles in the second quarter of 2025, down 37% from this time a year ago. Another Trump administration challenge is the loss of revenue from U.S. regulatory credits. Until now, companies like Rivian were able to sell regulatory credits to traditional automakers to help them avoid fines for emissions from their gas-powered vehicles. That market is now drying up. Rivian was expecting to make $300 million this year from these regulatory credits. Now, Rivian CFO Claire McDonough says it will only make $160 million.
As a result of the changes in our regulatory credit outlook, in addition to our second quarter results, we expect our gross profit for the full year 2025 to be roughly break even.
Rivian expects tariffs to impact per-vehicle costs by a few $1,000s through 2025. Rivian leaders spoke to investors during a quarterly earnings call this week. The company makes its electric vans, trucks, and SUVs in Normal, where it employs around 8,000 people. For The Leadoff, I'm Ben Howell.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. Governor J.B. Pritzker says state police are investigating threats against Texas lawmakers who are staying here. A bomb threat was made at a suburban Chicago hotel where many of them are staying during the redistricting standoff. The McLean County clerk says the U.S. Department of Justice has wrongly accused her office of failing to monitor voter rolls. Clerk Kathy Michael says McLean is one of 32 Illinois counties named in a letter, claiming the county has not removed registered voters who have died or moved. And street milling and resurfacing begins tomorrow in the Meadowbrook subdivision on the City of Bloomington's southeast side. The contractor will be working on one side of the street at a time to help maintain resident access. You can find more on these stories at WGLT.org. There's never a good time for your electric bill to suddenly go up nearly $1,000, but this was an especially bad time for Stephen Marfurin and his two Windy City Wieners locations.
It's just annoying, it really is.
He says business slows down in the summer. The ISU crowd thins out in Uptown Normal, and many people go on vacation, even judges and lawyers, which means less foot traffic at his downtown Bloomington store. Then, last month, Marfurin's electric bill shot up 35% without much change in energy use.
It kind of hurts when it comes in your slower times, but now your overhead's getting, kind of out of whack a little bit.
Central Illinois homeowners, renters, and business owners like Marfurin are grappling with sharply increased electricity costs this summer. Ameren, Illinois says it's a power supply problem. Too much demand for too little supply, leading to a 20-fold increase in summer capacity prices. It wasn't a surprise. Ameren and others warned us this was coming. Still, doesn't make it easy. Like many others, Windy City Wieners has tried to adapt. They keep the thermostat at 75 degrees during the day and crank it to 77 overnight. Marfurin says he's delaying equipment upgrades, like a brand new air fryer he hasn't hooked up yet. He doesn't have that many levers to pull. It would take a lot of $4 hot dogs to make up for the nearly $1,000 in increased cost. So how is he going to make that math?
Just pay myself less. I mean, there's really nothing else I'm going to do, It's not like I'm going to adjust anything. It's coming, and you hope it's not as bad as it's been.
Marfurin was one of 24 Central Illinoisans who responded to WGLT's call-out for stories about those impacted by rising electric bills. Another was Cody Kretzinger, who who rents an apartment in Bloomington. He says his June bill jumped to $492, up from $225 in May and $268 this time a year ago.
So this is the first time that a utility bill has actually shocked me when I opened it up.
Kretzinger has seen other cost of living increases too, like groceries, gas prices, and other household utilities. Kretzinger says he's grateful he can budget for these increases, but he's aware that many others cannot. Kretzinger is an Ameren customer, and Ameren says it's not their fault, that they're just passing along rising supply costs coming off the grid. Here's company chairman and president Lenny Singh during a recent stop in Peoria.
We understand, what customers are facing, and we're just as frustrated as customers around the energy prices and the volatility we see. Again, Ameren does not generate power. We procure it on the market through the Illinois Power. The state procures it through the Illinois Power Agency, and we pass it on to customer at no markup.
Cody Kretzinger says he thinks Ameren is making a disingenuous argument about the cost.
I hope that there's enough outrage out of all of this that they'll maybe change their ways.
Customers are already changing their ways. Aaron Keast lives in Pontiac with his wife and 10-year-old son. They're ComEd customers. He said their bill last month was $545, up from $238 a year ago.
It's outrageous if you ask me. I don't see how this is going to work for me to even survive. I'm going to have to get a second job to pay my electric bill.
Their house is big, but updated for high efficiency, including a smart thermostat that they've already cranked up a bit. Keast says they're also going to start drying their clothes outside to cut down on running the dryer. Keast works as a CNC machinist, and his employer just told him there wouldn't be overtime available for a while. He's hoping to pick up some side work as a mechanic to avoid cutting into the family's savings. His wife works part-time as a beautician.
This may force her to be full-time, and then it's going to cost me even more because I'm going to have to get daycare for my son.
The end of July heat wave we saw certainly didn't help either. Nick McBurney is a homeowner in Normal. He says that summer heat made it dangerous to go outside and expensive to be inside. McBurney says he thinks Ameren as an electricity delivery provider is not to blame. Instead, it's on the energy producers themselves, such as Meta signing a 20-year agreement for over a gigawatt of electricity from the Clinton nuclear power plant.
The way that the system is set up for sourcing of electricity, it seems to be that more every year, the electricity is going out to places that are not houses.
Some relief is on the way. For Ameren customers, the company says the higher electric supply price is expected to only be in effect until September, with a return to more normal levels starting October 1st. And before we let you go, the Normal Planning Commission meets today at 5 at City Hall. On the agenda is Heartland Community College's plans to add a ground-mounted solar energy array. And that's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show is produced by Brendan McMonigle. You can subscribe to The Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.